Again, everything I say in this video is subject to change as more comebacks drop. Before we start talking about the table teasers, I wanted to share an important theological concept with you. It's not that important, it's just something to think about. It's called Epicurus' trilemma. It has 3 parts, and it's made to question the power of supernatural forces. Take Christianity and God, for example. If God is unable to prevent evil, then he is not all-powerful. If God is not willing to prevent evil, then he is not all-good. If God is both willing and able to prevent evil, then why does evil exist? I'm thinking of it in this way, in our context. If the queen is unable to prevent herself from getting yeeted, then she is not all-powerful. If the queen is not willing to prevent herself from getting yeeted, then she is fucking sabotaging herself and her knights for no reason. If the queen is both willing and able to prevent herself from getting yeeted, then why does she get yeeted? Yeah, theology is weird. Not that we're worshipping the queen or anything though, because she's kinda whack. Moving on to the table, the first thing that we saw prior to the comeback trailers was the pre-trailer animation. It gives us a clue. The book has been closed. This tells us that the Night Trilogy is over. However, it doesn't mean that there's going to be a new lore from now on. Think of it this way. The Night Trilogy is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and the Table and the Nocturne are Heroes of Olympus. It's the same lore, but a new series. After it says, the book has been closed, it says, and shall we meet at blank? By now, we all know that the blank is supposed to be the table, but this so-called meeting is more complicated than you think. The table trailers start off with each member in their separate places. Peko is in a car, Minhyun is on a roof, Ren is on a swing set, Eren is in his kitchen, and Jonghyun is in his house. However, if you watch the trailers closely, you'll see that each member's trailer zooms in on a particular sensory detail. This means that each member represents one of the 5 senses. First, we see Peko, and all of the visual details in his trailer are heightened, and the camera often zooms in on his eyes. This means that he represents sight. Mingi's is smell. He smells the flowers on the invitation to the table. His trailer is rather simple, although for some reason he drops the pie towards the end of the trailer. Why would you waste a perfectly good pie? I don't get it. It wasn't even an accident, he just let it drop, what the fuck. Anyways, Minhyun's trailer represents taste. He's sitting on the roof of a house, reading a book. He has a pie next to him, and he picks up one of the grapes on the pie and starts eating it. The camera zooms in on his lips, and we hear the sound of the grape skin breaking as he bites it. The focus of the camera on his lips indicates taste. Next, Eren's trailer shows him slicing peaches in the kitchen as water boils in the kettle in the background. The kettle starts whistling, signaling that the water has boiled over and that it's time to take the kettle off the heat. However, Eren doesn't hear it and just gets carried away slicing peaches for his peach tart. Suddenly, towards the end of the trailer, he cuts his finger with the knife, and suddenly he can hear everything again. The sound of the kettle doesn't faze him, but the sound of the doorbell ringing makes him look up. Jonghyun's trailer is a bit confusing because there is a clip towards the end of the trailer that zooms in on his ears, but I believe that this doesn't have to do with his sensory detail. His sensory detail is touch. He relies on touch to pet his kitten, which is his only source of comfort when he's alone. He seems really sad throughout the whole trailer if you look closely. No, you don't even have to look closely to tell that he's sad. He's just so sad for no reason. It's terrible. But anyways, towards the end, when he pulls out a moldy pie, we hear a clock ticking in the background, indicating that the film focus is shifting to Jonghyun's fixation on the passage of time, which is indicated by the hearing of the ticks of the clock. We see them individually in each trailer, but we see that they're all in their respective locations on a map. They all receive an invitation to a place called The Table. However, there are 6 invitations, and only 5 newest members. There is a 6th new member of newest, a 6th person who has been invited to the table, and they're represented by a little pig icon. I'm begging you to stop, please stop saying it's Jason. It's not Jason. I will actually throw a fit next time someone says it's Jason. The pig is supposed to represent the fans, who meet them at the table. I don't want to refer to them as the pig, oink oink, so I'm going to call them the 6th visitor. One possible theory about the 6th visitor is that they represent a 6th sense, and that this 6th sense is what causes the Blue Pill paradise to collapse, because they can finally see beyond this fabricated paradise using said 6th sense. It takes the whole 5 senses to perceive, but it takes the 6th sense to truly feel, and that's why this whole paradise collapses, because their senses unite them and they begin to see that there is something wrong with this so-called paradise that they're living in. Why does the 6th sense allow them to see past the facade of the paradise? Well, 1, in The Matrix, the reason why the main character, Neo, becomes a hacker is because his whole life he always felt like something was up. Despite his 5 senses being controlled by the simulator, he had a 6th sense, a 6th sense that told him that nothing seemed real. And that's how the newest members came to find out that the paradise they're living in is fake. That, combined with the fact that the human mind always mentally rejects paradise, and is what began the collapse of the whole paradise world that newists live in. In addition, we can also tell that chronologically in the storyline, the music video occurs before the concept trailers. We have a couple of small, insignificant hints here and there. They eat the pies in the group trailer, but the pies are still intact in the music video. Also, Ren dropped his apple pie in his trailer, but again, the pie is still intact in the music video. However, the biggest piece of evidence pointing towards this is that Love Me is essentially a complete paradise. However, the trailers are where things start falling apart, which then leads into the trailers for the Nocturne. Like I said, essentially nothing happens in the music video besides the fact that they're all living in a surreal fabricated paradise. A lot of you think that Love Me isn't part of the lore because nothing happens in Love Me, but you have to understand, that's the whole point. Nothing happens in Love Me because just like The Matrix, everything in Love Me is a simulation. It's not necessarily like an electrical simulation like The Matrix, but you get what I mean. It's not real. The individual trailers all lead up to the OT5 concept trailer, where they all meet. They're in this whole cottagecore picnic setup in front of a small house. This is what I mean when I say that the table is for the lesbians, but that's beside the point. They're talking, they're chatting, and they're having fun. And then it starts to rain. What is the significance of rain? Well, since rain is water falling from the sky, we will look at the significance of water instead. Water is associated with rebirth, with life, with transformation, and with renewal. Water is going to be really significant throughout the table and the Nocturne because it appears often. We see in The Matrix, when Neo wakes up from his little simulation pod and is faced with the real world, he's coated in water. Water is one of the things that are most essential to life. It's going to become even more important in the teasers for the Nocturne later on. The next thing I want to discuss is the teacup. Tea and teacups are a strong symbol of hope. This is because tea leaves are often used for divination, which is a form of magic that predicts the future. We see several teacups in the concept trailer. There's even a close-up shot of one, and we'll see how the teacup reappears in the Nocturne trailers later on. So this is all for today's episode. Tune in next week for me to discuss the Nocturne trailers, and the episode after that for me to discuss I'm in Trouble.